Tony, welcome to the pod,
Hey,
man.
what's happening?
We're in an
What's
amazing,
happening?
beautiful park.
Yeah,
Mr. Greenwood sitting in front of me, my man.
Man, it's an honor.
You were just getting ready to get into this. You grew up down here, but you might introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, I am Tony Williams. My community know me as Mr. Black Wall Street and Mr. Greenwood. So I'm a native here. I grew up on Greenwood. A little bit about myself. Currently serve for our African American City Council Commission. We're actually working on 918 Day. So me and the Downtown Association, I don't know if y'all know Morgan Phillips, but that's the homie.
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting ready for that. And I just, it's called Go Green for Greenwood. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So it's the massacre anniversary, May 30 through June 1st, is where the city of Tulsa goes green. And people wear their greens for those 3 days. And we just got a proclamation push. So everybody, we got another holiday to celebrate in Tulsa. So, yeah.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Mr. Greenwood, so you grew up here.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, there's a lot of passion for this area.
Yeah.
What does this, I'm going to go wide right here with this
Okay.
question. What is this area? What is Black Wall Street? What does this mean to you?
Whew. It means a lot. I mean, from our culture, from our history, from the talent that came out of this specific area itself, it means a lot. I mean, especially now that I'm doing the work that I'm doing for Greenwood, it's home. It's very sacred to me. You know,
Sure.
It's home.
Literally and maybe figuratively as well. You just mentioned before we started here, and you just mentioned right now all the work that you're doing. Let's dive in, man. What are you doing to the community in this community here?
Well, I would say I'm an advocate for Greenwood, all of Tulsa. But, how everything started, man, in 2018, I started a clothing line called T-Town Essence. And that's talking about all our history and our culture of all of Tulsa. And so you can't talk about Tulsa without talking about Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
And I'm a native of Black Wall Street. And
Yeah.
so, I started the clothing line. And then my goal was to eventually put them in the stores on Greenwood.
Okay.
So one of the shop owners, Cleo Harris, with the T-shirt and souvenir shop, he gave me my first shop. He donated a shirt, and he told me he donated me some shirts, and he was like, hey, give them to me in a couple of weeks. So I gave them to him in a couple of days. And so they were selling like hotcakes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Black Wall Street story, but Dick Rowland, he was the one that was accused in the elevator. So I had a Dick Rowland graphic. And so I have a background in music and fashion. I opened Forever 21 in 07, so I don't know if y'all shopping Forever 21, but I opened that. And so when I put my clothes down on Greenwood, by me having all this, this knowledge in fashion, I think the store was probably about 3 months old. And so I would just volunteer my time, on Greenwood in that store, giving them pointers and whatever I could do. They have a distribution shop where they make all their T-shirts, so I would help them make T-shirts. And so, I was a worship leader as well. So people knew of me. It wasn't just like I just came off the streets. But so I would bring all my friends. I'm like, hey, y'all need to come to Greenwood. It's dead out here. And so I would have friends come out. We'll be creative. What can we do creative to bring some energy and life down on this block? And so sooner or later, one of my buddies, man, he's one of the tour guides on Greenwood, Cody Ransom. He gave me the name Greenwood Williams because at the time, this was 2020 when Trump came.
Okay.
And so we had all the world news, and one of my pieces was hot at the time. I had Trump got Make America Great Again, and I had Make Greenwood Great Again. And so everybody was fixated on that shirt. And so Cody would say, every time you got a news camera in your face, you would say, hey, I'm born on Greenwood. I do business on Greenwood. This is Greenwood. But he took the this is Greenwood and put this is Greenwood Williams. So he started the Greenwood Williams, and then the community just started putting the Mr. in front of it. And so by me doing our business on multiple locations on Greenwood and the way I would bring people on together on Black Wall Street, the owners gave me the name Mr. Black Wall Street. So, and I'm grateful. Yeah.
Mr. Greenwood here,
Yes,
man.
Sir. Yes, sir.
I would love to dive into your creativeness, let's call it. You threw out 07 Forever 21.
Yeah, man, and
Throw me back, man. Woodland Hills Mall, bro.
Oh my gosh, man.
You it sounds like you have you said you enjoy fashion. That's obviously a lot of creative juices there.
Yeah,
and then
music.
that
Yeah.
that journey led into obviously making your own stuff. What are those early days? Why fashion? What about fashion really sparked that for you?
You know what? It's crazy how I even got to Forever 21. And so, but I was working at the Walmart distribution center out there close to Bartlesville. And I was there Tuesday through Friday. And so I had a coworker. He was like, man, it's this new store opening up called Forever 21. And we were making good money out at the distribution center. And so anyhow, I went to orientation. He flaked out. And so I was like, man, I think this is pretty cool. And so, you know, I stuck around, and I was a greeter at first. You know, they had me talking to all the girls. You know, I'm up front, you know, greeting everybody and all of that.
How old were you?
I was probably 26 at the time.
Oh, so you're the prime time, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but what's crazy is I started as a greeter. You know, they'd say they love my energy and all that, and I get to talk to the girls all day.
Yeah.
And so anyhow.
At that time, hold on. It was the guys and girls? It was forever?
At the time, you know what? I was.
You just playing it.
I was the. Okay, let me say this right. Okay.
If you don't want to answer this question.
I love the ladies. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I felt like I was in heaven. You know, they let me do whatever I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? As long as I brought the energy and made the girls feel welcome, hey, I'm telling you, I could do any and everything what I wanted to do. So I started as a greeter. Okay. And so one day we were running behind on the store opening up. So you had a visual team, and I was just the greeter. And so one of the visual girls was like, hey, could you do this mannequin for me? You know, we need to do it before the store opens up. And so.
Like building the mannequin or dressing
the mannequin. Okay. And so they go by a guide sheet.
Okay.
And so I freestyled it. And so the next day I had no idea that our district manager was coming in. And so they called me in. They were like, hey, did you do this mannequin? And I was like, yeah, I did that. And she was like, man, you did an amazing job. Like, do you want a visual merchandising position? I was like, okay, I'm gonna just freestyle, you know what I'm saying? And so they let me do that. And I kid you not, man, like, you know, on my lunch breaks, I would have different store managers be like, hey, we love your work and all this and that. Would you want to do this for, you know, us? And I'm like, okay, I'm just freestyling.
So they saw talent early.
So, and so from there, you know, I would style models and rap artists and all that. And, you know, that's how all that began, you know what I'm saying? And then from there, that's when I started, you know, going to Victory. And how I started going to Victory was a girl that I was trying to holler at in the mall. And so she was like, well, you got to go to church with me. And I was like, okay. And so, man, from there, I just got hooked. So.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, that's really funny. Actually, you mentioned it. I'm very curious, you being rooted in a bigger, let's call it a mega church.
Yeah.
And then you sound like you worship led there as well. How does the church, in your opinion, Black Wall Street, Greenwood, how does a church, is there a connection? How has the church played a role in Greenwood, in what's happened, our history?
You know, I'm still good friends with, you know, the Doherty boys. Those are my homies right there, Paul and John. And so I felt like Victory, in a way, prepared me for what I'm doing now. And I'm so grateful that they're, I talk to them. Like I said, we're still friends. And I'm so grateful that, you know, they're giving me the green light and they say they're proud of what I'm doing in all of Tulsa. But I felt like by me being on stage, I was on stage. You know, we had 3D, which was Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 24/7, Saturday services, and twice on Sunday morning. So I was on stage 4 days out the week for about 7 years on top of the production. So I felt like me getting exposed to all that prepared me for what I was doing now, and I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? I never knew that, you know, I was going to be Mr. Greenwood. And from there, the mayor asked me to be a part of the city council commission. And so I felt like with that, and who I am, because although I was born in the Black Wall Street district and I'm always where I come from, I love all of Tulsa. Again, I have family history in Tulsa, man. The Dohertys are my friends, you know what I'm saying? And so I love people. And so I feel like the church and what I'm doing, I feel like it goes hand in hand, because you don't want to be that one that's doing all this work in the church and you're a nobody outside the church. And so that's something that I challenge myself to do, is like be that light, especially where people need it, especially with people who don't even care about a God or Jesus or whatever you want to call it. So,
When you were worship leader for 7 years, there all the time, 24/7. I don't know of all the different outreaches
3D,
or whatever, like all the stuff, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So now you had this passion for fashion early,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're let's call it 7 days a week. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're music now,
Uh-huh.
and these now have intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Was that love of music always been there as well?
Oh, yeah. My family, my dad was a singer. My great-grandmother, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sam Cooke, but my great-grandmother, Edna White, used to sing with Sam Cooke.
Okay,
Man,
yeah.
I mean, on my dad's side, there's nothing but musicians and businessmen. And so music is actually my first love. You know what I'm saying? I'm a vocalist,
Okay.
singer-songwriter, and all of that. But I feel like music and fashion, you got to look good on stage. You know what I'm saying? And so it goes hand in hand. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, I grew up in the musical family, and music has carried me a long way.
Yeah.
And so
You said you write music? So
I wrote songs,
okay.
songwriting. So
Stuff
yeah.
that you performed at Victory?
Not at Victory.
Okay.
I had, submitted some songs. They didn't go through, but it's all good. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I
yeah.
took it to the highest levels in the music industry
Sure.
and stuff like that. Featured on many albums and all of that. So again, I'm grateful.
I love it.
Yeah.
Started with Forever. Now we're at Victory.
Yeah.
After Victory, 7 years, you did your time. What was next?
You know what? I don't want to say I was burnt out of worship because, if you're a worship leader or you're a worshiper, you're going to always be
Sure.
a worshiper.
Sure.
But I was like, I'm just kind of getting stagnant. Let me just sit down for a little bit because I'm telling you, I was on stage 4 days out the week for 7 years. And so I just kind of sat down and
Now, did you find that it was it church? Was it the church? Or
No,
was it
wasn't
just
church.
being this constant grind of always being on stage and
always being on stage, but at the same time, I felt like I was being pushed in a different direction. And then, like, shortly after I stopped worship leading, that's when I got into my clothing line. Just that day in and day out on stage and lights and, yes, oh my goodness. So I kind of had to push away from that a little
Yeah.
bit. And I'm like, I'm done with the lights. I'm done with all that because before Victory, you know what I'm saying, I was into music. I was
Yeah.
into fashion. And so I just kind of like, let me take a break because I've been doing it for a while now. And then I said I wanted to focus on business, and here I am back in the spotlight. So, evidently God got a plan, and so,
Yeah.
I'm going to be obedient. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you got into fashion. Is that whenever you had started what you had started with this T-shirts, these different drops, if you will, of fashion, and was that it, or was there something else in between where you're at today in that Victory?
Well, I have a barber business. I have
Okay.
real estate, and so.
So you're an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So fashion again, like it was a way like I said again, when I started the fashion, like it opened up so many doors. When I started, the T-Town Essence, it opened up so many doors, and me not knowing it's just like, hey, this is what I want to do, and then me not knowing by me putting my stuff on Greenwood
Yeah.
that I was gonna
Yeah.
become who I am today.
Yeah.
So
It's so wild. I've experienced this a lot. Is you go through certain doors not knowing what doors those are going to open in the future,
Yeah,
and it sounds
yeah.
like you've had a ton of those.
yeah, and you know what? I'm a believer, man, and so I like to listen to the Spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, even now, I don't have a destination. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna listen to the Spirit. I'm gonna be obedient, and I trust you.
Yeah.
And so, again, I was able to accomplish many things, be a part of so many historical moments, man. And so, all I know is I'm gonna be obedient. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna be a good
Yep.
steward with this gift that I have, and the light that I have, and
Yeah.
people say that I have. I'm gonna try my best to let it shine.
That's so cool, man. I find that being led, I guess the way that me and my wife talk about it is open doors, closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had things in life where it felt like you're just hitting
Oh
a
yeah, I
dead end.
definitely had. Yeah.
I've done that in business, in our personal life, and you're going along, and it just feels like you can't get ahead in something. Versus the times of just like you feel like that door just swings open,
Oh my God.
and there's
Yeah.
like zero resistance, if
Mhm,
any,
mhm.
and it just feels so natural.
Yeah.
Can you give me some examples of maybe some of those? I know we've been kind of talking about your path.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
what are some of those for you?
what I've learned now is to embrace every season, because if you don't give up and you stay persistent, then those doors will open. But, man, a lot of people don't know that I was homeless before. A lot of people don't know that I was falsely imprisoned. And so me going through all of that and me still trusting and believing and not giving up is like, you know what, let these hard times come. I'm gonna embrace it. You know, my father, I found my father dead in 2020. And so those are the roughest times of my life. But I openly embraced it because I'm like, you know what, if I can embrace this and I can still trust you, God, imagine what's going to happen when the doors are open. You know, it's the floodgates right now. And so I feel like I'm living in that season. Again, we just passed a proclamation, and that was historic in itself. 103 years, when the massacre happened, my community was afraid to talk about it. They tried to sweep it up under the rug, and now here we are, 2024, the city is honoring, you know what I'm saying? And so,
sure.
But again, man, when those hard times come, man, embrace it. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you just dropped a couple really big things on me, man. Homelessness, being in prison. If you're cool with it, I'd love to dive in a little bit on either one of those.
Okay.
Homeless. How did you find yourself homeless?
Well, being stupid, basically. Being stupid. I wasn't, I say homeless. I wasn't homeless for long. I was kicked. I was still sleeping in playgrounds and stuff. But anyhow, me growing up where I grew up, all my friends was the local criminals and drug dealers. And so.
Sure.
Now, I grew up in a amazing family. My dad, amazing. Everything that I do now is because of him. He's always challenged me to be better and do better than him. And at the time, I'm like, how can I possibly do better than what you've? But anyhow, like I got kicked out of high school. I didn't graduate, and I just wasn't applying myself. And I was staying with my dad at the time, and he just told me to get out.
Were you just acting a fool at home?
It wasn't that I was acting a fool because I was, I had this, I was afraid to make my dad angry. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I always had like, oh no, my dad don't play around but it was just me not applying myself.
Got it.
My dad would, when I would just mess up, he would just shake his head. And I'm junior, by the way. And so he would just shake his head. He was like, don't you know who you are? And at the time, I didn't get it. He's like, you're Tony Williams.
Wow.
You're better than this.
Wow.
And so by me
that speaks to him as senior.
Yeah. But at the same time, he would always tell me, like, you have something inside of you. You got a gift. Utilize it. And so he was just fed up with me not applying myself, and he would just, like, get out. And so
that was his way of, like, bro, you get your stuff together.
Just that hard love, man, and that's who he was, man. But
how long were you homeless, and how old were you?
I was like 21 at the time,
okay.
And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't long.
Okay.
I was probably sleeping in the playground tunnels and all that probably about a month or two until I was finally like, hey, Daddy, I'm sorry, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? When I crawled back begging and pleading for him to take me back, he was like, oh, I'll take you back, but you got to enroll in Job Corps. I don't know if you guys heard of Job Corps.
Sure.
And I was like, at the time, I just thought it was the worst thing ever. Like, all the negative stuff I used to hear about Job Corps, but it ended up changing my life, man. And so I ended up having to stay on the dorms, and I think this is around 2004 at the time. And, I just started to get my act together. I got a diploma. I got a little trade there. I was a leader, on the dorms and all of that. And then I ended up singing the national anthem, man, and so for our graduation. And so just to see the look on my family's faces and all that, man, I just like, you know what? Yeah. It's time. It's time for me to really just start getting my act together, man. Yeah.
And then you were in prison.
Yeah.
Wrongfully
accused, man. I was supposed to face 3 years. They got me out in a few months, overturned it, but they still have me on a deferred sentence.
What happened, bro? Like, if you don't want to go into it, that's
dive
cool.
in that, but it was an unfortunate situation to where I shouldn't have been thrown in prison, and so that's why they got me out as fast as they could because they know it would have been a lawsuit, and so but instead of me being bitter and so they wrongfully, I had that mindset. It's like, you know what? I still trust you, God. Whatever you have for me, I'm going to still trust and believe. I'm not going to be bitter. And so my mindset was like, you know what? I'm going to just make them pay with success. I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew I was going to do something.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
You said now over and over again with turmoil, with problems, with all these big obstacles that you've overcome them.
Mm-hmm.
You've look past your current situation maybe,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm better than this, or I can do better than this, or maybe looking to your father, or looking to somebody, maybe even at church.
Yeah.
What is there a recipe for all these things that's happened to you? Is there something that you've always went to say, you know what, I can do better? Was there something on the inside of you that's caused you to get that motivation to turn your life around, or turn the situation around,
Yeah.
rather?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you've had kind of a bumpy road, my man.
Oh, yeah.
And it seemed like you've come back even harder every time.
Got to. I mean, you know what? Again, man, I'm a believer. I believe in the power of God, and I believe that He can make a way out of no way as long as you stay true, trust, and believe. And then I gotta give it up to my dad. I'm getting emotional a little bit, but everything I am is because of him. I watched how he lived his life. I watched how he was with people. And I watched him practically break it down with faith. This is how you do this. You use the gift that God has blessed you with. And if you know you have a gift, you use it for good. My dad was my hero. Again, everything that I do, I watch my dad do. My parents, they divorced. I think I was 10 years old. And my siblings, they went with my moms, and I was the only one to stay back with my dad. And I feel like that was one of the greatest decisions I ever made in my life. Because again, I mean, my dad, I never even heard my dad curse. He never brought women around in and out. Like, you had this saying, my dad is the best dad ever. Like, I'm so grateful to have the father I had. Because I'm telling you, I wouldn't be who I am today without him. So, sorry, but God and my dad, those are my motivations.
I love that, bro. Parents, I got 4 youngsters myself. I've decided to procreate, and I've decided to that 4 seems to be the right number for us. And as a dad myself, dude, what you're saying is so it just hits hard.
Yeah.
Because we've all had fathers, whether they've been there for you, whether they haven't. But where I've been as of recently is, how can I be the best father for my youngster? I got 3 boys.
Okay.
And one's is great. He obeys, he listens. I got one that's a rotten kid, bro. And I'm daily challenged.
Yeah.
And it's good, though, because at the end of the day, talking about senior, talking about your dad, at the end of the day, not only are you trying to instruct and pass knowledge, pass wisdom on to your little kiddo, but in turn, your dad, you're learning as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really a two-way street in a lot of ways. They might be knuckleheads at that time, but it's also beneficial to the parent. As well.
And I'm so grateful that my dad got to see what I was doing, who I became, and I remember one day I was at his home, and he was like, who is this Mr. Greenwood dude? Do you know this Mr. Greenwood dude? I hear a whole bunch of people talking to him and who he think he is and all this and that. And I was just laughing. I was like, well, you know him. Yeah, you know him very well. And I'm like, well, how do you know? I'm like, well, you looking at him. And he was like, nah, that ain't you. And I'm like, Daddy, that's what they calling me. He was like, are you serious? And I was like, that's what they calling me, Dad. And so, you know what? I'm so grateful. Before that, he was always proud of me and how I turned everything around. But I'm so grateful that this chapter that I'm in now, that he was able to see that. So
That's so cool, bro.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Let's go ahead and we talked a lot about the past here, man.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're involved with. We kind of touched on it a little bit. What you're up to now. Juneteenth, all the stuff, dude. How are you changing this city around? What are you doing to Greenwood, thus getting out? But like, it's not just the street. It's not just like it's obviously there's much more.
It's a spirit, man.
Yeah.
That's what I try to emphasize to people. That's on the block or Black Wall Street. It's like, okay, yeah, we can make money, but it's a spirit of community. It's a spirit of unity. It's a spirit of love. And so, again, man, like I grew up on Greenwood. It's always going to be home. But all of Tulsa's home, too. You know what I'm saying? And I've done work all over Tulsa. So, I'm involved with the Christmas Parade Committee, and we're getting ready for the Christmas Gala on Ice at the Wee Street here, Christmas in July. The 20th of July, I'm involved with Divis. I don't know if you guys heard of Divis,
No.
Domestic Violence Group.
Okay.
But they throw a big Monarch ball. We just had it a few months ago at the Cox Business Center. So doing that, 918 Day, man. Me and Morgan, we're working on something. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Wednesday market that they have.
Sure.
So we're
Sure.
going to combine all of that. And so I'm excited about that. I actually meet with Morgan tomorrow.
Dude, Morgan's awesome, and,
Oh,
and that
man.
whole downtown
I
partnership
love 'em.
crew, man.
Yeah. I mean, they were a huge part in the Go Green for Greenwood.
Okay.
I don't know if you met Becky DeVore.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Becky
Yeah.
DeVore is my classmate, and so I went to Becky. When I was trying to get the Go Green for Greenwood started, I'm like, man, I need to see how I can get these businesses lit up. And she was like, well, you might need to check in with Morgan. And so introduced me with Morgan, man. And and that's what I love is relationship, man.
Yeah.
It's not, we can do business, but what I pride myself on, and I feel like what got me to this place is relationship. Because, again, we can make all the money we want, but
Right.
if you a butthole, like
Yeah.
nobody want to be around
Yeah.
you and your light is not
Yeah.
shining to empower nobody to be better, then what are you here for?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm so grateful for the relationships that I have now, man. I'm so grateful because, again, with this Go Green for Greenwood, man, like, although we had something that, a tragic travesty that happened here in 1921, my goal and my heart was for this movement or this initiative was to somehow unite the city and make people not feel uncomfortable about talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful, man. I
Yeah.
can't say enough. I'm grateful and I'm thankful because, I couldn't do this by myself. I had an amazing team that just rallied behind me. It's like, hey, we believe in you. We love what you're doing. And again, I've gained beautiful relationships out of doing this. So
You said that earlier in the pod, man. You said it's all about people. It's all about relationships.
I love people. Yeah.
100%.
Yes, sir.
100%. It doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter. People at the end of the day matter.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are either going to push you forward
Mm-hmm.
or even the opposite. A lot of you're around the wrong people,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Yeah,
take
of
you in
course.
the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So that's so cool, man. Juneteenth? How much involvement are you?
Hopefully just meeting and greeting.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because, we just had the Legacy Fest, which is also Go Green for
Sure.
Greenwood, the massacre anniversary, man. But just getting out there, meeting and greeting and saying hello to people and just trying to enjoy the festivities that take place. So,
I love it. I
yeah.
love it. You're involved with so much, man. Thank you for sitting down with
Man,
me.
it's a
You
pleasure.
got anything else you want to throw out there?
Oh, man. Tulsa, I love you. Black Wall Street, I love you. I'm grateful to be, on this platform right here. Let's continue to thrive to make our city better. Let's continue
Yeah.
to love each other. Let's collaborate. I can't thank you enough. I am who I am today because of you, and I love you guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.